What's going on? Hey, hey Green, what's up? Happy Saturday to you too. Good to see you. I'm gonna wait a few more seconds and then I'll get started. I hope your day's going well. Yes, always cleaning, honey. In this house, yeah, always cleaning. Always, always. Mikey Flo, what's going on? Hey. So I'm just hopping on when I can, you all. And so I wanted to ask, as people are coming in, what are some of the hey Melanie, how you doing? Good to see you. Good afternoon. Um, yeah, so I just been kind of reflecting on how the season has gone. And I don't know about y'all. How's y'all's weather where you are? And if you don't mind posting in the chat what zone you are in, that would be very helpful for new people that are coming in. There have been a few new faces lately, and that's exciting. So go ahead and post the zone that you are in. And you can also, I don't mind if you also post, if you're a content creator, just put I create content and then post your zone. That would be great as you're coming in. Yep. Hey, Backyard Gardener. Hello. Backyard Gardener, if you can put in your, just type in, I post or I create content, that would be great. So if you are, um, post in, if you're in the house and you don't mind in the chat posting the zone that you live in. And if you create content, go ahead and just type in, I create content. Okay. Please do not submit a link. Just type I create content. That would be great. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm just on today because as we are winding up the summer garden stuff, pretty much everything is out of here. We got another frost. And it was a light frost, but it was a frost. And I still got tomato plants out there kicking it. I mean, just it's like, when are you gonna die? When are you gonna give up the ghost? Honey, they are rocking it out there. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to just pull them up and call it for them because they are just and flowering in October after two light frosts in my area, and they are still kicking it. Hey, Food Forest Permaculture, if you don't mind posting what zone you live in, and if you are a content creator, just type I create content. Please do not list a link to your videos, but just put I create content. That would be great. Yes, I so those tomato plants, and right now it's a Roma tomato, and there's like a little slicer tomato out there. I don't know the name of it, but I'm just like, y'all are rocking it. And the slicer tomato is the one I did not. I think it. I can't call the name of it. I think they're just little, bigger than or smaller than an apple, definitely bigger than a grape. Um, Slicer tomatoes, and they turn red or like an orange red, and and I never pruned them other than just cutting it back to create space. Like I wasn't pruning for disease or anything like that. Just like because it just got so big, it bushed out so big, and it's still rocking it out. I'm just like, whoa. So to me, that is the weirdest thing because I've never had a tomato plant that, number one, stayed alive this long. As a beginner gardener, I've never ever and then at the same time, not only is it alive, but it's still producing fruit. There's still fruit on the plant, and it's setting flowers still this late in October. It's blowing my mind. So yes, I just don't know about it. That is the weirdest thing to me. That's what I mean by weird. Now, I what you can also tell me some things that are going on that are weird in your garden. I would love to know if you're having those same experiences. And then tell me some things that y'all are growing that you've never grown before that may have some interesting names or interesting variety. Maybe it looks really different. So you like stuff that you typically can't buy in the store, which we know as gardeners, that's a lot of things, right? And I would say one of my leafy greens that I grew in the spring that I'm growing again this fall is the pak choi. I just really like to say pak choi. It's very similar to bok choy, but I've never grown that before. I never had it before until I grew it in the spring, and my hubby made a soup with it. It was delicious, and I'm growing it again because it was delicious. So go ahead and list those things too. And number one, I want to know really, and number two, I want some more ideas. We love to we love to buy seeds and grow things, so that would be really cool if y'all can let me know maybe the weirdest thing or a variety that you have had that you grew this summer that you've never grown before. And Tell me some weird things that maybe happened in your garden. That would be great. But yeah, the tomato plants lasting this long and they're still looking pretty decent is just blowing my mind. Absolutely blowing my mind. Let's see. Good morning, Food Forest. And let's see, I've seen tomatoes for 2 years in the greenhouse. Oh, what? And in the greenhouse, I can understand how that would work. Yeah, I get it. But that's 2 years, the same plants. That's pretty impressive. Green Organic Love says purple beans are so beautiful. Purple beans are great. I had some. Or were they purple? Well, they were purple beans. I'm just trying to remember the name of them. Uh, no, they were actually called red burgundy beans, red burgundy bush beans, and they were purple basically, burgundy purple. But they were really cool to see, and they turned green. That was another thing. Yeah, when you cook them, they turn green. I was like, well, shoot, they grew purple, but they turned green. That was pretty cool to see. Food for Us is chilling on the Bear Garden live stream. Yes, you are. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so I just some interesting things. The pak choi has wins though for me. I was pretty excited that that actually worked out. I grew a lot of it, and it was very prolific. Like it just kept producing. You know that cut and come again uh, con- um, concept. You just cut the leaves off. You never cut the whole plant out, and the leaves grow back. Leave a few for photosynthesis to occur, but like it'll just keep giving and giving and giving as long as you're patient with it. And I grew that, and I ate it raw, and I really liked it raw. I liked the taste of it, and then we had it in a soup that my husband fixed early in the spring. So that is on a playlist. If you don't mind going to check that out. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Thank you, Melanie. So also one of the things on my mind is these fruit trees because this is my first year ever owning fruit trees. And so I'm trying to grasp what to do with them. And as we enter into the cooler weather, I have noticed some symptoms of dormancy, or they're starting to change on me. So hey, what I grow, good to see you. Hello. Hey, what I grow, tell us what country you live in because I know you're not in the States. And particularly if you know a zone, if there's a zone for you, go ahead and list that. And then if you create content, just type I create content. Do not put a link up, please, but just put I create content, and that way people can know. I am giving everybody permission to do that on this live stream. So please do it. Okay. And thank you so much. And then if what is one or two or three or 10 things that you've grown in your garden this year that are pretty weird, or maybe their behavior is really weird. Like I have tomatoes that are still growing and still thriving, and there have been two light frosts in my area. It's crazy. And then I mentioned that I really like pak choy, which is a cool name. I just like to say pak choy, but it actually was pretty decent green to eat. And then um, I forget the other one that I said. Did I say another one? Pak choy and oh, we were talking about red burgundy bush beans, purple beans. How cool that has been. So the bean is purple when you're growing it, but when you cook it, it turns green, or at least mine did. And so yeah, it's just been interesting. So the fruit trees, I have 7, and this is my first year ever buying fruit trees. I know my husband looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, Letitia, slow down. I said, but I can't help it. I got to have it. I got to have it. So I have three fig trees. I have and I named all of my trees. I just want to point that out. And so the first one I ever bought, his name is Fred, and he is an Olympian fig. And I named him Fred because my grandfather, who I miss dearly, he died 4 years ago, and but he called everybody Fred. Like somebody would be driving by out in the country and blow their horn, and he'll go like that. And I'm like, "Who is that, Granddaddy?" He said, "Oh, it's Fred." Everybody was Fred. So just in his memory, his name is Fred. And then I have a Chicago Hardy fig tree. His name is Little Buddy because he was a little bitty cutting when I bought him, and I just felt like that was appropriate. And then I have Mr. Ellis. Mr. Ellis is a white Marseille fig, and I just like Mr. Ellis. I like that name. So, and then I have Rita the raspberry bush, and so she is hanging out there. She's doing good. She fruited before I got her, so there are two, what are they called? Not limbs, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Two shoots, two limbs that are dead now. My understanding what is with those raspberry bushes, at least, I don't know if it goes for blueberries and all that, but when they fruit, the stems or whatever die off. Um, I learned that from somewhere. I think it was Diva Jones said it or something. But so she has one long shoot, root, or not root, but y'all know what I'm talking about, stem, whatever they call it, what they called, y'all. The stem, growing, it has plenty of new growth at the end. And hey Zoe, hey, how you doing? Happy rainy Saturday. It's raining where you at? Shoot, it's beautiful outside right now where I'm at. It is gorge. We were out walking this morning. We did about an hour and a half. And it was so beautiful. It's cool. It's like in the 50s, but you walking, so it don't feel like it. But pouring down. Oh my goodness. Have you had rain for a lot lately, or just all of a sudden? Um, Zoe, and if you could put what zone you live in, and if you create content, which you do, put I create content in the chat, please. Don't list a link. Don't put a link. Just I create content. So I am, let's see, Green Organic says I haven't cooked them yet. I get a handful each week and put them in the freezer, hopefully hoping to get a pot full by January. Yes, I had like two or three plants, and I was like, oh, this ain't enough. I've got to, and they do produce pretty, like as you're harvesting, they do produce pretty fast, but I have to grow more so I can have more to cook with. Yeah. But yeah. And so these fruit trees. So I told you my three figs, the one raspberry bush, Rita. Thank you, Zoe. And then that's 4. Then I have 2 Honeycrisp apple trees. Uh, Wait a minute, y'all. Three fig trees, one raspberry. Yeah, two Honeycrisp apple trees, Tiara and Fernand. Little big girl farmer named those trees. She loves apples. And then I lied. I don't have seven trees because I have two citrus trees. Bonita and Flo. Not Bonita, Bernice. Lord Jesus, I'm thinking about, y'all know who Bonita is, don't you? The persimmon. Bernice and Flo. So and I've done a video on all my fruit trees before, listing them and why I named them, what I named them, and what their names actually mean, the meaning of their names. Meanings of names are really, really important to me. It's an old um, thing. Our ancestors named their babies in biblical days. They picked names, and the names were specific to something or some situation or some outcome, or it may be in the time that they were born in, this is what happened. Or, if you caused your mother misery or you came out a certain way, they named you after, and your name stood for something, whether it was good or bad. And so the meaning of names are important to me. I used to not this is just an example, and I'm not knocking anybody named this because I don't know who you are, but like the name Damon. I used to I was like, oh, I mean, that's cool, whatever. But if you look up the meaning, it's a little different, so it with any name. So anyway, that's why naming trees are important to me. I don't name them just to be naming them. But like Flo, I literally was like, man, you are just gonna rock it out. And at the time I was feeling that I was receiving an abundance of blessing at the time. And so overflow, flow just kind of came to my mind. And so anyway, that's just why I named Bernice means plentiful, and Bernice is loaded with calamundins. Loaded, loaded. And I just looked a while ago. I brought my citrus in two frosts ago. So the first frost we got right before that happened, I brought my citrus in, and she's blooming again. And that's very typical for citrus trees to bloom, bloom, bloom. Citrus trees do not go dormant, and leading me to my next topic I wanted to talk about, the symptoms of your fruit trees going dormant. And as a beginner gardener and as a new owner of fruit trees in particular, I just kind of wanted to hit these up and then also get some coaching, because I know there are some people in this live stream. Hey, gardening realtor. Hey, how you doing? I know there are people in this live stream that have had or have citrus trees, that have fruit trees, and so they know what they're talking about. So I'm all ears. I am open. Okay, because I want to know what y'all think and what y'all know. But some of the symptoms that I'm seeing so far. So my citrus trees will never go dormant. They may slow down. The production may slow down, but they'll never go dormant, and that's typical for citrus trees, according to the research that I've seen. They may drop their leaves a bit because just climate change, is my understanding. I had a few brown leaves fall off, like literally two or three, when I brought them in, but it's like 70 degrees in this house. So it wasn't the temperature. I just think that maybe, you're not outside. So you're not getting the wind, you're not getting the circulation of air. Other than that, I don't know why they dropped, but just, I think they were already brown and they were going to drop anyway. But other than that, they had been blooming. I mean, I have tons of blooms. And then I didn't even think the Meyer lemon tree had fruit on it. And I spotted four little bitty lemons. Four. And so I'm pumped up about that. So maybe if I keep maintaining it, I will have citrus sometime. Okay. They're inside now, so I don't have to worry about the winter taking them over or whatever. I got them in a south facing window. They're in a south facing, but they also get sun from a southwest facing window, which is ideal conditions if you're going to have citrus in there. They're getting a little bit of humidity because I do run a humidifier every once in a while because my daughter has allergies really bad, and so sometimes I run it in the living room, sometimes I run it in her bedroom. So I got a fan going to help circulate some of the air. I don't keep the fan on all day, but just to kind of mimic being outside a little bit. I learned that from Cheryl's Organic Food Forest. She kind of mentioned that one time, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. So so I'm doing that. But typical behavior of citrus trees is what I'm learning. They won't go dormant. They will pretty much slow down their production, but they'll bloom a lot. And both trees are blooming right now indoors. And I've only had them indoors for a week. The calamundan blooms a lot, like has bloomed a lot since I got it. Probably 7, 8, 9 times. I mean, has bloomed consistently. The Meyer lemon has bloomed, but not as much as the calamundan. And the Meyer lemon is blooming now as we speak. And I'll do a video so you all can see that. But it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. The fruit are ripening on the calamundan, and I have more fruit setting. So the interesting thing is, though, somebody tell me, does the citrus have to be pollinated by the bees, or are they self-pollinating? Anybody can answer that for me, because that's something I need to look up. I don't know if the bees were doing that work. I'm pretty sure they were. I don't know. Or if they are self-pollinating, because if that's the case, if I'm getting all these blooms, but if I need to pollinate them, then I need to work on that. I gotta figure that out. Anybody know? Anybody know if citrus trees are self-pollinating? Um, Fruit trees, are they the same? I know with some fruit trees, like the Honeycrisp apple tree, you do have to have, or they recommend, I don't know if you have to, but they recommend that you have either more than one Honeycrisp so they can pollinate each other, or they may be able to pollinate with other fruit trees. So there's usually a list of those on the tag when you buy them, of recommendations for fruiting or pollinating with other plants, other fruit trees. Um, so other signs of dormancy, like all my figs except the Chicago Hardy dropped its leaves. Now the Mr. Ellis and the White Marseille and Fred, the Olympian fig, were in more sunlight during the day than the Chicago Hardy fig. So the Chicago Hardy right now is full of leaves, but he dropped his leaves earlier. I think he was going through some like disease, like the leaf rust, and just kind of all my figs had leaf rust this year. And then there might have been a watering issue or two or three, and he also dropped his leaves. But then he just kept re putting out leaves. So the Chicago Hardy fig is full of leaves right now. The high indoor outdoor gardener, the Mr. Ellis, the White Marseille, and Fred the Olympian fig both drop all day leaves, but now they're sprouting new leaves. So I'm just like, wait a minute, why are you doing that? I thought you're supposed to be going dormant. So somebody let me know. I don't know. I've never grown them before. Um, but my understanding, when they did drop their leaves, I was concerned that maybe they were dying. So I just did a scratch test. I just took my nail and scratched a little bit of the bark, and I also did that on my Honeycrisp apple tree, because I thought I might have let that dry out, and I was like, please God, please, I hope I didn't let that dry out. Because we had a heat wave, honey, and I mean, we went almost a month and a week, I think it was, without any rain. And so that's when I was worried about the apple tree. But I did a scratch test at starting from the bottom all the way up, because I wanted to see, and then even on the branches, and it was green. So when I did the scratch test, it wasn't brown, it was green. So that let me know that it was still alive. Let me see, this chat is moving just a bit. Steve Rogers, hello. Good to see you. Bye, Food Forest. Let me go back up just a bit because I asked some questions. Let me see. Food Forest, plant underground food like Wakon, Yacon. I don't know how to say that. Okay. Donjing, potatoes, okra. Thank you for giving me stuff I can pronounce. Carrots, parsnips, etc. Plant on the ground. Food beets, lettuce, kale, cabbage, etc. Plant trees and grapes and kiwi and passion in the same hole. Okay, I don't know if you were answering questions from somebody else or if you were talking to me. I don't know. Um, this is what is in the our food forest. Okay, got it. And then bees and ants and hummingbirds. Bees, ants, and hummingbirds. So I had asked the question: do citrus pollinated by the pollinators like bees, or do you self pollinate? Okay, so my citrus are blooming right now, so that means I would have to help them pollinate them myself because they're inside now, they're not outside. Okay, so the bees, ants, and hummingbirds pollinate citrus trees. That's good to know. And then everybody saying, "What's up to indoor gardener?" My fig and pear trees holding on their leaves for dear life. My apple trees are too. Like they just all of a sudden started to boop, pop out leaves. I mean, new growth everywhere. But I'm just like, wait a minute, what y'all doing? Y'all supposed to be going dormant. But it'll happen. It'll happen. The leaves are starting to fall. Everything is starting the process. So it'll happen. I have to go. Okay. And then what I grow says blueberries, buy them as a couple, and the bees will do the rest. Got it. I didn't buy blueberries this year, just the raspberry, and that was a stretch because I don't really like raspberries. But I forget why I bought it. It bought it. It was cheap. I do know that. And then I think my daughter was just obsessed with what what we don't do for our kids, right? But it was like $5, I think, or $3 or something. I got it for $3, $5, something like that. So it wasn't bad. So we're gonna see if we can get it to stay around though. And then my plum tree and apple tree died or has died back. Okay. I am in zone 6B, 7. More of like it's on the fence of 6B and 7, but I say 6B all the time. And yeah, so our weather here, because we're in the Ohio Valley, uh can it can be summer one day, winter the next day, spring the next day. We can have snow on the ground one day, and then it's 80 degrees the next. It's crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. I want to get into berries next growing season. Right now I'm focused on soil and my greens. Good plan. Good plan. I recommend Annie or Ann raspberries, way better than red raspberries. I've been hearing all kinds of like fun names or varieties of raspberries. Is there a cotton candy one? Is somebody did I hear that somewhere? I don't know, but all kinds of cool names. Okay, you're in zone 6B as well. Great. Yeah, if you want to grow limes, do it, but you have to bring them indoors. Once before you get that first frost, you don't want the roots to freeze. And if it's a light frost, it might not hurt it too bad. I didn't risk it at all, but I brought them right in. And so I'm just talking about like, because this is my first year buying them, just the symptoms, the signs I'm seeing as the trees go dormant. Citrus trees don't go dormant, and they will continue to bloom. So I just found out that I need to pollinate them, because they're usually pollinated by the bees, the ants, and the hummingbirds, according to food forest permaculture. And then indoor outdoor gardening. If you create content, if so many people, I don't just write I create content. If you don't, that's fine. You don't have to write anything. Please don't put a link though. They can find you if they need to find you, but don't put a link. Just put I create content in the chat if you don't mind. And Steve Rogers the same if you create content as well. Other things that I learned about, let's see, these citrus trees. They like temps between 50 and 85 degrees, and they like humidity. Again, placing them in a south facing or southwest facing window. Thank you, Steve, so much for your support. Is best for them. And common pests. Now in the Midwest, so this would be my thing here. The brown soft scale and two-spotted spider mites. And I think I have seen some of the spider mites, not the brown soft scale stuff. And I hope I don't see that ever. It's like, where do these things come from? It's like you really do create a whole ecosystem when you have a garden in your backyard. It's like all this stuff just comes out of nowhere. Um, when bringing indoors, what do you use for lighting? The window. I have a south facing window and a southwest facing window, and it's luckily one's here, one's there, so it gets all the light from those two windows. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I only have one grow light, and I don't it's I have it in a container, so I'm not using grow lights, but I guess you could. But I'm not. I'm not. And if you want to see how that's done, another channel that I would suggest that you watch, and because not only has it great ideas, but this man's garden is indoors. Period. That's why I love the channel name, Hidden Harvest Grow Lights. If you've never heard of him, Harvest Grow Lights, he also is a creator of an indoor grow light, and the spectrum, this specific spectrum of the lights is very significant. So you check him out. I mean, really do watch his channel um and see what you think. But he has everything growing in that house, everything growing in his house under some lights. So if you're interested in that type of thing, I would suggest his channel specifically to go check that out. And you support Hidden Harvest. Cool. Yeah, you support Hidden Harvest. Okay, good. If you can write the word support, that would be great. So I just uh let's see. Okay. Occasionally aphids and mealybugs or white flies again can be some of those pests on citrus trees. Now I do know what a whitefly is, and I do know what aphids are, and I do know what mealybugs are, and I have not seen any of those. And apparently, mealybugs, you can really attract those in your house. Is I might be wrong, but I was like, why are they in the house? I don't know. So I'm hoping I never have any. I might be wrong. Catherine's garden. Hi, how you doing? What's up? Good to see you. Catherine, if you don't mind posting in the chat what zone you live in, and if you create content, just write "I create content." Please do not submit a link to the chat. That would be great. And so we're just talking about symptoms of fruit trees going dormant. What are some of the things you notice? I'm learning about this and what to do to overwinter my fruit trees. I have 8 of them. And so I have 3 figs, 2 citrus, 2 apple trees that will stay outside, and a raspberry. And so I'm just trying to be coached on what to do. And if you all are having similar, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Catherine. Similar experiences with your citrus or your fruit trees. I have noticed that a lot of my fruit trees have lost leaves and now they're coming back. They're sprouting new ones. A lot of new growth, but they're about to fall off again. And I do understand that the most prominent time to prune your fruit trees, if you're going to do that, it there's nowhere in you know that says that you have to prune your fruit trees. I mean, if you don't, they can get really really big, up to like 20 feet. Some of them, maybe even more than that. But You don't have to, but some people like to shape them a certain way, or maybe they just really do need to be pruned because of dieback, or you want to keep them to a certain height. I mean, there could be all kinds of different reasons. That's what I've learned. There's no one way to do anything in gardening. So I think you should just choose what you want, or try something if you've never tried any of it, and see if you like it, and then see if you'll do it next time. But my understanding is the fall time is a great time to prune, to put trees in the ground. If you're going to plant more trees in the ground, it's a good time to do that. Um, and the trees start to need less watering in the fall. They do need to be watered, but less watering. I've also learned that. What else? What else do you all know about fruit trees as they're going dormant? What kind of things do we need to look out for? The pest pressure tends to go down as it gets cooler outside. I've learned that, and it is true. I am seeing that. A lot of the pests are dying off or going underground. They're preparing for the cool weather as well. Um, Another thing is propagating. So, what I would like to do is get really, really good at propagating citrus trees. And of course, I want to have more trees, but I also want to create, you know, a small source of income. If I can really take care of them and get good at it, then that would be a great source of income. I have a lot of significant new growth to me because when I bought the plant, they were not this big. So at least I kept them alive. But I know I can cut some, and possibly propagate those and make new trees. They're going to be fairly young, but both my citrus trees are already bearing fruit. I didn't get any fruit from my fig trees this year, so I'm hoping for that again next year. Another channel that if you have not run across him yet, and he grew fast. I mean, we came in, he might be a little older than me, or might be, it was around the same time, but he blew up fast. I mean, but he has magnificent content. I mean, great content. Most of his content is about figs, but he does talk about other things. But that is the millennial gardener. The millennial gardener. He is absolutely amazing. And he completely mastered propagating figs. Started almost all the fig trees that he has in his personal garden are from cuttings that he started, and he actually has videos on them, and they're already gigantic and producing fruit. So he talks about how he does that, and everything. But it's very thorough, very, I mean, just man, if you just want to know what to do, like, somebody please tell me what to do with these trees right now, because this is just, I just need to know what to do, and then you want to figure out what you like later. That's the guy to go to. I mean, very clear, precise, thorough content. I mean, really great. So go check out the Millennial Gardener. He is amazing. Anyone else having problems with cabbage worms or moths? Good grief, Steve, Hunty. Now, they have not been flying around very late, because they always make a debut in my videos. Maybe two or three of them. The white cabbage moth. And you think they're little cute butterflies, but they're not. They are pesky pests. And yes, they lay eggs, which they turn into worm. Hey, Mikey Flo, worms, and then they start eating at your brassicas, and they eat at your leafy greens and things. So yes, they killed my kale. I mean, I had some dinosaur kale out there, and they just sticks right now. They just stems. They ate them up. Okay. And those kale have been there. I kind of used it as an uh aphid, to attract the aphids and the worms. I went ahead and let them, because the idea was, if I let them eat the kale up, and kale, I don't really like it, but I grew it because it's called dinosaur kale. And my daughter was like, dinosaur kale, because she really likes dinosaurs. So just to amuse her, I grew it. And but my hope was if they love the kale, they'll be on the kale and they'll leave my other stuff alone. Well, that didn't work out very well. They ate up the kale, but they were still hitting, my cabbages, and some of that was slug damage too. But yes, yes, definitely, with the worms. So I just sprayed the neem oil, and it's cooler now, so now I don't have to like worry about my leaves burning up or not getting out there too early or early enough to spray and hoping that it dries and all this other stuff, because it's much cooler now. So neem oil worked really well, but BT, I did a combination of neem oil spray and a BT, and that BT for me personally knocked it out. Now I did have to apply, like I applied 7 or 14 days later, and I did that again. But yeah, after I sprayed that BT, honey, I didn't have no problems for a long time. So you might want to try that if you haven't already. But if anybody has any other recommendations, please post them in the chat. Yeah, they're giving you the blues. I know. And it's like they get started. And one time I went out, and I think, was it the cabbage? And honey, I lifted up a leaf and there were like 20 worms under there. I freaked out. I lost my mind, took off running because I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many worms. And I actually caught some of that on the on a video. Man, they were everywhere. Everywhere. Um let's see. Thank you for the chat. It's evening around here. Have to go. Yes, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. And I did not have success with the cabbage. What can we use to get rid of it? Okay, Catherine, I hope that, yes, BT. BT, girl, don't have me lying about what BT stands for. Some name I can't pronounce. Hold on. It stands for, I might just show you a picture too. Bacillus thuringiensis. BT. Let me show you a picture. I'll show you the one that I bought. And there's different types. This is the one that I bought, and it works. Let me see if I can. Can y'all see that? It's kind of, is that? I don't know if you can see that, but it's for worms and caterpillars. Garden safe BT for worms and caterpillars. Um, but like I said, if you just Google it, there's few. You're welcome. There's a few different kinds or brands, I guess. Yeah, but that's the one I bought, and it worked. It worked. Um, fruit trees. I'm trying to decide if I want to cut back the apple tree. The biggest one, I have two. One is very, very, very young, so I'm not going to prune it at all. But the bigger one, the structure does look weird, so I may prune it back a little bit. I just feel like the top branches are real, real, real little, like real, real skinny little. And I don't know if it decided to bear fruit next year, if the branches would just break because they're so little. I don't know. What do y'all think? Should I leave it alone or should I cut those? I don't know. I'm gonna do a video so you can see it a little bit better. And then I would appreciate your comments. Hey, Suzette, how you doing? I am talking about fruit trees going dormant. Suzette, if you grow food and if you create content, can you put what zone you live in? And then if you create content, just write I create content. Don't put a link in the chat, but just put I create content, and so everybody can know. But yeah. So I'm trying to decide if I want to prune back the big Honeycrisp apple tree. I didn't have any fruit on that tree. It's still pretty young, but it's a lot older than the other one. Tiara Fernand is older. Um, Great, Suzette. Thank you so much. Um, let's see. Well, I think I'm about to. I hate to do this, but unless y'all have something else y'all want to mention about citrus trees, fruit trees going dormant, some symptoms, signs that you all have noticed, if anybody has them, and maybe some tips for folks like me that are growing fruit trees for the first time, citrus trees for the first time. That would be great. I need to repot my citrus. And so I think they're in like 3-gallon buckets right now, or pots from the nursery. I'm going to put them in a 5-gallon because that's all I got right now. 5-gallon buckets. And I have some perlite, some cocoa core, a little like these, a little bit, and some peat moss. And I think that's what I'm put in there. Throw some coffee grounds in there for fertilizer, and then let them ride. Yep, I think that's how I'm gonna repot those. And I've watched like a bunch of videos on people. Everybody does things differently, and I just find that the bare minimum is just best for me. I'm not, and I may throw some 555 fertilizer in there. I'm not putting fish emulsion in them right now because they're going to be in my house. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Right? That makes sense, right? Fish emulsion is amazing, and I do use it in my garden. And they did get fish emulsion throughout the season, but I will not be putting fish emulsion on my citrus trees, and they're gonna be in the house. Mm-mm. And then the thing has a nerve to say on, I think on the bottle, it said for indoor outdoor use. I'm like, who does that indoors? Why would you want to do that? Fish guts, smelling fish guts all day, why? Or for a week. Why would you want to do that? I'm not doing that. But it does help. It does help. Suzette says I only have a lemon tree and she's a baby. Fun. Yeah. So I've been waiting on a Meyer lemon for like forever, and I finally got one. So I'm excited about that. And there's like 4 lemons on it. They just started. They're little itsy bitsy things, but I'm excited about that. Zoe said, I'm back. Well, good. I had to go get the groceries, honey. Feed the babies. Feed all the babies. And yourself. Feed them. Yes. Let's see. I think that's about it, y'all. I think that's all I got. I really do. So if y'all have any ideas that y'all would like to share, that would be great. Or you content creators can create content about citrus trees and fruit trees and what you've learned, so I can learn too. Y'all like my song? All right, y'all. I'm gonna get out of here. I love y'all. Y'all know I do. Peace.